Alpha Yankee Zulu reporting for duty. I have the subject detained, and this is, an off-the-record interview. Now, Professor, could you tell us some more about your research?
Space. One of the final frontiers. The cosmos is a cataclysm of chaos, a vast void so dubiously deep that to think about it too deeply can drive one to insanity. During my research, I have heard rumors of living planets that can consume other worlds, either through parasitic infection or straight-up destruction. Out there lies many strange and unknown entities and eldritch monstrosities. The horrors of space and fear of the unknown have always been fuel for the imagination. I shudder to imagine that God would create such creatures. I hope that they are merely fictional. I hope to never run into phase or the end. But one thing we do know about are rogue planets. Have you ever seen one? They are bound by no star and freely roam about time and space. One wonders if this was an evolutionary tactic to avoid these so-called living planets. I did not realize that rogue planets are indeed real until very recently. In all my research from across time and space and the multiverse, I recall only ever seeing 2 of these wandering planets. At the time, I was deep into the Dasha region, on the outskirts of Galactic Federation control. The planet Ether is indeed a wandering class planet. According to research, it was struck by a phazon seed, which was confirmed to have come from the living planet Phase. Oh no! Mother Nature is cruel. Even though these planets found a way to ignore the laws of gravity, it was not enough to avoid predation. Perhaps this is why, when it was struck, the planet had a reaction so powerful it created a spatial anomaly. The planet Ether, for a short while, was split into 2. An alternate dimension was created, perhaps as a way of combating the infection. This attempt from Ether was in vain, however, and created more problems for its inhabitants. The planet was on the brink of doom. Luckily, the problem was taken care of by a legendary bounty hunter, and the light of Ether shines brightly once again. But there is an even more extraordinary rogue planet I have encountered in my journeys, and you wouldn't believe me. Back on my homeworld, known to some as Mobius, but to most as Earth, I have encountered the elusive paradise, Little Planet. This is a rogue planet that not only wanders through space, but also time. This planet has been subject to much research from scientific minds from both sides of the moral compass. My colleague speculates that perhaps long ago, Little Planet had an encounter with the end that forced it to evolve the ability to escape through time. I laughed it off and called him a knucklehead, not because I don't believe him, but because I shudder to imagine that the end is actually real. This evolutionary advantage had been successful for Little Planet, until Dr. Eggman got his hands on it and tried to reverse engineer its ability to time travel. Luckily, the unstoppable Sonic the Hedgehog put an end to that suffering, and fans of this blue hedgehog have gone on to research every facet of this hero's journey. But my colleague and I have noticed that one thing about Little Planet has gone unnoticed for so long. For Little Planet is hiding a secret in plain sight. Sonic the Hedgehog lore masters have documented the dimension of the Special Zone. On a select bunch of wandering islands across Earth, energy from the Chaos Emeralds have created ring portals that lead to surreal dimensions created by the Chaos Emerald to protect it. These places are so chaotic and wild that their locations have never been pinpointed before, and this is completely fair. Do I even want to know where these places exist? Or would it ruin the mystery? However, my colleague and I have been researching the locations of the special zones of Little Planet. As when Little Planet entered the laws of physics of our world, the chaos energy of Earth created portals to protect the time stones of Little Planet. But because of the unique rules that apply only when on Little Planet, these portal rings don't just lead to another dimension in space, but another dimension in time. In fact, It almost feels like Little Planet is trying to show us its entire history, everything it ever was, and everything it ever could be. The first special stage we encounter shows us the not-too-distant past. In the sky we can see our Earth, and the sun and the moon. Perhaps this is Little Planet as it is entering Earth's atmosphere. We also see that because of this, time appears to be in flux, represented by the sky's wavy colors fading between two different colors. One a dangerous red, and the other a calming blue. A symbol of the two different outcomes of its visit to Earth. The location upon Little Planet can be pinpointed too. The quartz everywhere is a strong sign that this area is at least quartz quadrant or somewhere between it and tidal tempest. After all, quartz can be seen around the volcanic mountains of tidal tempest. The second special stage we encounter, we believe, is also in the past, but even further back in time than the first, long before there was much of anything on Little Planet. This stage must be located somewhere upon the ocean of Little Planet, just long before Eggman ever got his hands on it, because there is nothing to be seen in the horizon as far as the eyes can see. We do get to see in the sky a large Jupiter-like planet within Little Planet's atmosphere. Whether or not this is indeed Jupiter, I cannot know for sure, but it's nice to be able to trace Little Planet's path as a wandering planet. The third special stage, most fellow explorers are likely to find at tidal tempest, and this is appropriate, as this is where the third portal ring takes us. Or almost, as this place appears to be on the outside of the zone, and judging from the technological renovation that we see in the distance, this has got to be the future. Not a bad future though. Note the color of the water, being very much clear and blue. Don't ask how we are able to breathe underwater in this one spot. This must be an effect of the chaos energy of Earth. Most first-time visitors of Little Planet will end up encountering Special Stage 5 in the next area, Quartz Quadrant. And this was a big clue with helping us determine the location of this place, which for the longest time was a bit of a puzzle. We knew it had to be the bad future without a shadow of a doubt. The dome in the sky tells us that this is the worst outcome of Eggman's encounter with Little Planet. We can pinpoint the location being right in the middle of the metallic shell built around the body. But what is underneath here? Well, we had to think a little. It has to be a place with both water and buildings. And then it hit me. The only place I have seen buildings is in the bad future of Quartz Quadrant. Specifically the outdoor sections. Not only does this place have skyscraper buildings, but when we travel to the past or present versions, we can see natural flowing water in the same spots. And the dark black polluted water only further confirms our theory that this is in the same spot. Special Stage 6 is a wonderful place to be. The sky is so psychedelic to look at as it seems to contain every color. And in the distance, we can see what appears to be some kind of hybrid between a castle and a factory. It's this castle that gives us the definitive answer to where this place is. Outside of Wacky Workbench. Wacky Workbench appears to be a factory when we see it from the inside. But it's not until we travel to the good future that we see that this place is indeed supposed to be a castle. This castle almost made me definitively say that this means that this is the good future, until my colleague pointed out that the water outside is polluted, and the fact that the building looks clean and pristine rules out this being the bad future. I guess the sky is the way it is, as a sign of Little Planet's destiny being in flux at this point in time. Now, before I propose a theory about Special Stage 7, I want to go back to the fourth that I skipped. My colleague saw this place and was quick to jump to the conclusion of it being tidal tempest in the good future. But I was skeptical for two reasons. Firstly, tidal tempest is submerged underwater, and this place is not. Secondly, why would Little Planet show us the same place twice? No, I think that Little Planet is showing us the good future of metallic madness. I propose that this place is just on the outskirts of metallic madness. My colleague thought that I was mad until I noted that the good future has a water fountain motif that, in combination with seeing the circular structures that decorate this technological utopia, was enough to convince him that we are indeed seeing metallic madness off in the distance. Now, this leaves us with the final special stage, a complete and total head-scratcher. Never do we encounter a place that looks like this in our chronicles. We can only agree that this appears to be the bad future. I mean, the polluted green sky and chemical-stained water is a dead giveaway, along with the metallic structures. I had to get a little creative and propose a theory. What if Little Planet is showing us the worst possible outcome in the distant bad future? We could see another planet in the sky after all. What if Little Planet is showing us that if Eggman exceeded with his goal, then he would then turn Little Planet into a planet that can consume other worlds? What a horrifying achievement! But where exactly is this? Well, I have only 2 pieces of evidence that suggest that this is the same spot as Special Stage 4, outside metallic madness again, but in the bad future. I photographed some mountains in the distance that seems to support this theory. The metallic pyramid is the bad future version of the almost Atlantis-looking locale of the good future version. There are also some structures that look very similar to the ones inside the bad future version of this zone. The lighting here is also green. My colleague agrees that this is the best theory so far, but I wonder what other researchers may think. I have heard rumors of a secret 8th special stage, but I have never seen it. Other reports describe seeing Eggman iconography in the distance, so I can only assume that this is a fake, built by a fool with no real understanding of Little Planet.
That's it. I've had enough of this. Wandering planets, the multiverse, time travel, a blue hedgehog. What the hell are you talking about? And repeated mention of an Eggman makes me think that you have well and truly lost it. What has any of this got to do with the project?
Were you not listening?
You're talking about things that haven't happened, so why should I be entertaining you right now? How can you possibly know of such things?
My research has taken me to some unbelievable places, and I have foreseen many a great prophecy. This is why I will leave everything to Shadow. After all, everything is canon. Oh!
Have you anything else to say?
No!